do you say it? How do you say like when they come together? Yeah, this is what 3 hours of sleep does to you, okay? Anyway. Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know, y'all probably like, Debbie, where the fuck have you been? Well, I've been at school. I've been stressed with school, and I've literally been living off of like 3 hours of sleep a day. So I haven't gotten like the time to record videos to post and stuff like that. So yeah, but I finished my exam today, and I have a little bit of free time this weekend, so I was like, you know, it's been a while, so I'm going to do another book recommendation video for you guys. Yeah, and so for today's book recommendation video, since it's like Halloween and stuff, I haven't gotten a chance to read, you know, like paranormal romance books, but I was like, we'll go with Mafia romance, because like why the fuck not? And it is like dark romance, so it kind of matches that Halloween theme, so we're gonna go with Mafia romance. Trigger warnings, y'all, these books are really dark, so do search up the trigger warnings again for every one of these books, because they contain, you know, deep dark shit. Yeah, so please search up the trigger warnings. And again, these are like for readers 18 years or older, because they contain explicit, mature content. Okay, so yeah. One of the series I already mentioned in my previous book recommendation video. Yeah, I'm just gonna re-recommend it again here, because it is a Mafia romance and I really love it. So yeah, without further ado, let's go right into the video. So the first book I'm going to recommend is the series I already recommended in the previous video. It is the Mafia and His Angel. I feel like I'm just gonna give you guys like a really quick plot of the story, because in the other video I did like a more in-depth how do you say it, in-depth plot of this book. So if you want to hear like a more in-depth like intro to this book, go watch the other book recommendation video. I will put the link in the description down below. It's called The Mafia and His Angel by Lila James, and there are 3 books in the series, and for this particular like story, you have to read all 3 books because it's about the same couple. It is about this girl named Ayla, who is the daughter of the Italian mob boss, and she never had a good life growing up. She was always like locked in her room and never got to experience the outside world, and so her dad one day decided to give her away to this guy named Alberto, who is just sick. And Ayla was like, I had enough, and so she decides to escape one night. And while she was running, she sees this car that's parked. She runs to the backseat of the car and she hides. And when the driver came in, the driver drove off without knowing that she's in the back. And when the car came to a stop, Ayla waited for the driver to get out, and then she peeks out the window and she sees this like huge estate. She got out of the car, the security guards see her, and she decides to run inside the house because I don't know why, but she decided to run inside the house, and the house she entered is Alessio's house. And Alessio gave her three options, which was you work for him, you go back to wherever you came from, or he will put a bullet through her brain. And Alessio is this very, very handsome man, and his family and Ayla's family are enemies, but Alessio does not know who Ayla is, but Ayla knows who Alessio is. So that's basically like the plot. If you want to hear like more in depth of it, watch my previous video. But yeah, it is really, really good, and you guys should definitely check it out. Okay, all right, so the next series, it's a series, but the Maid series by Daniel Laurie. So there are 3 books in this series, but each book is about a different couple, and so you don't have to read all 3 books. You can read them as standalones, but I recommend that you read all 3, and I recommend you read them in order because it'll make more sense that way when you get to like the second and the third book, because like the characters from the second book, they show up in the first book, and the characters from the third book, they show up in the second book, and so it just makes more sense if you read them in order and if you read all 3 of them, but you don't have to. Starting with the first book, it is called The Swedish Oblivion. I love this book so much, y'all. I'm gonna reread it. I'm gonna reread this book. It is about Elena and Nico, and Nico is the hottest man. Like in my head, he is the hottest man. He's just like, I have no words, y'all. I have no words. Like, he is just so hot in my head, okay? And this person does not even exist. It's about Elena and Nico. Nico is the mafia boss of the Russos. His last name is Russo. His full name is Nicholas Russo, but people call him Nico or Ace, like the Ace of Spades. Yeah, so he's the mafia boss of the Russos. And Elena is the daughter of I think her father is also like mafia, but they're like from another clan, I guess that's how you say it. Like they're like another mafia group. So Elena's father wants to bring the Russos and the Abeles, I think, or is it Abeli or Abeli? Something like that. They wanted to bring these 2 families together. So Elena's father wants to bring Nico's family and their family together, and the only way to bring their family together is there has to be a marriage, like a marriage to bring these 2 families together. I think the reason he wants to bring the 2 families together is because they look stronger that way, or like they're trading something. I don't remember, but for these 2 families to come together, there has to be a marriage involved. And so Elena's father decides that Nico should marry one of his daughters. Elena is the eldest child. She has a younger sister and a younger brother. I believe it's her younger brother, not her older brother. But yeah, she's the eldest child, and her father thinks that one of them, her or her sister, should marry Nico so that the 2 families can come together. But the father decides that Nico should marry Elena's younger sister, Adriana. He tells Nico that you are gonna marry my youngest daughter. And then Nico was like, okay, I mean, that's not the daughter that I want, but okay. He has a thing for Elena. Like, he's really attracted to Elena. But yeah, and he is like, why the fuck would he give me his youngest daughter? Because in like the real world, you would usually marry off your eldest first, and then like it goes down the line, you know? The reason why the father decides to give the youngest daughter to him is because his eldest daughter, Elena, is his favorite child. And he knows that Nico is like ruthless, you know, and really, really cruel. And so he didn't want to give his favorite daughter away. The other reason was there is something that happened to Elena in this book, which is like the whole story. It's like you want to find out like what the fuck happened and like why is everyone being so like weird to her, you know? And so the other reason is Elena is apparently not pure because she's not a virgin. Apparently she's not suitable for marriage to Nico is what the father said, but the real reason is the father just does not want to give Elena to Nico, okay? Because that's his favorite child. Anyway, so that's that, okay? So Nico is set to marry Adriana. Adriana has a lover. She does not like Nico like that. She thinks of Nico as like an older brother, and Nico does not look at Adriana like that either. He sees her as like a younger sister as well. Nico is really, really like protective of Elena even though they're not together. Like, bro, there was two scenes, you know? I'm just gonna tell you these two scenes from this book and then I'll stop it right there. So there was this one scene where they were having this like, it was like a lunch for just like the Russos and the Abeles to come together. It was like a lunch party thing, and Elena was there, of course, and like both families were there. And during that lunch, Elena's brother and Nico's cousin got into an argument. While they were arguing, Nico's cousin knows that Elena is like everybody's sweetheart in their family. Everybody loves her in her family, you know? And so Nico's cousin decides to grab Elena and point a gun at her head. And Nico looked up, and then oh, it was like when you imagine it, it's so fucking hot. But yeah, at first he didn't say anything, but then after a while he thought his cousin was going to like stop, you know, and like sit his ass down. But after a while he was like, okay, like he's not stopping, you know? And so he looks at his cousin and he goes, put the gun down and like sit your ass down, you know? And then his cousin didn't listen, and then he said, I'm gonna tell you one more time, put the gun down and sit down. And his cousin still didn't listen, and so he pulled out his gun and he shot his own cousin right in the head. Yeah. And then he went back to eat his lunch like nothing happened. So these books are like dual point of view, so every chapter it alternates between like the characters. So for this book you'll get like Elena's point of view in one chapter and then Nico's point of view in another chapter. But when Nico's point of view came, he said that he shot his cousin not because he was angry that he was ruining the lunch party, but because he had the audacity to point a gun at Elena's head. Yeah. If that's not hot, I don't know what's hot, y'all. Yeah, I'm fucked up in the head. But yeah, that's one scene. Okay, he shot his own cousin for her. The next scene was Nico picked Elena up from school. Yeah, he picked her up from school and then they went to this gas station and then he was filling up the gas. And then Elena was like, she needs to pee, she needs to use the bathroom, and so she goes inside the gas station. And then after a while she came back, and then Nico was looking at her, and Nico was like, okay, something's not right, like something happened. And then he asked her like what happened, and she was like, nothing, I just want to get out of here. And then he was like, no, 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 like you better tell me right now what happened. And then she said that while she went into the gas station, she wanted to use the bathroom, and she asked the owner of the gas station, and then the owner of the gas station was like, you can't use the bathroom unless you buy something. And then she was like, oh, I didn't bring any cash, you know, I didn't bring any money. And then he was like trying to harass her, or like, yeah, like harass her, I guess. And he was like, well, I know other ways you can pay me back. Yeah, she felt like really, really uncomfortable and scared, and like that's why she like ran out of the store. And Nico, when he heard that, of course, y'all, World War III is gonna happen. So he was like, oh, okay. And then he goes inside the store, and then she was like, no, don't do anything, you know? And he was like, no, I'm not gonna do anything. And then he went inside the store, and Nico burned that gas station down. He burned it down. And while they like drove off, the gas station was just burning. Yeah. He's really, really protective of her. And it's just so like cute and hot. And yeah, you guys should definitely check this book out. It is so good. The second book of the series is called The Maddest Obsession. So when I first bought this series, I only bought book 1 and book 3. I didn't buy this book because, you know, before I buy a book, I like read the back of the book, and it just wasn't interesting to me when I read it. And so I only bought the first book and the third book. But after I finished the first book, the main characters from this book, they appear in the first book. And in the first book, there was so much tension between them, and I was like, what the fuck happened to those two? Like, I need to know, you know? So when I finished the first book, I was like, shit, I cannot myself, okay, I cannot read the third book without reading this book. And so after I finished the first book, I went on Amazon, I ordered this shit, Amazon Prime, came 2 days later, and then I read it. So it is about Christian and Gianna. Christian is a cop, but he is a dirty cop. He works with the mafias. He works with Nico. He's like a really, really cold and strict guy. It's really hard for like people to work with him because he don't like working with people. He is like his own person. He works for himself. Nico always reminds Gianna like, don't fuck up my relationship with Christian because I need him. Gianna is Nico's stepmother, yeah, because Nico's father married Gianna, but Gianna is young. She is younger than Nico, okay, but she is his stepmother apparently because the father married her. She was forced to marry Nico's father, but Nico's father like passed away already. Yeah, anyway, so Gianna is the type of person who she's really loud and outgoing, and she has no filter, you know? She's that type of person, but inside she's going through a lot. It's like she tries to hide like all the bad things in her life, and she just like acts like nothing's wrong. But Christian sees through it, you know? He's a detective. Oh, Christian is not Italian. He's Russian. Gianna, she's Italian. So like Nico, Elena, Gianna, they're all Italian. So Christian, he is Russian, okay? Gianna, she like always gets in trouble, because she's the person who does dirty work for the Russos, and so she always, you know, she gets caught and shit, and so when she goes to jail, Christian is the one to always bail her out. And yeah, I feel like I can't say more, it's gonna give it away. But yeah, they don't get along because they're like opposites, but Christian knows that she is like hiding all her pain and stuff because he was always watching her ever since she was like young. Like when I say watch, I don't mean like in a stalker way, but like he's always seen like all the shit that she's gone through, and he was always there to like witness it. That's why yeah, it's so good. Like I don't know why I decided to not pick up this book at first, but I'm glad I did. Do read these two books. Finally, the third book, bitch. The third fucking book. It's called The Darkest Temptation. Bitch. Did you see how much I loved the first book? I love this book the most out of all this series. I love this book the most, okay? Yeah, let's get ready to talk about this book. So it is about Mila and Ronan. They are both Russian. Ronan is Christian's younger brother, and he lives in Moscow in Russia. So these two books took place in the States, okay? But this book took place in Russia. Mila is from Miami. She, you know, grew up rich, and she lives in like this huge mansion. She has a bodyguard. Yeah, she was born in Moscow, but like her family moved to the States when she was a baby, and so she does not really know how to speak Russian, and she's just like Americanized. So on her birthday, her dad is not there. Like her dad missed her birthday, and then not only her birthday, but there was like a few of really important events early on that year that her dad also missed. And so she asked her bodyguard and was like, you know, where's my dad? Like he didn't even call me, you know, what's more important than me, you know? And apparently the dad is in Russia, apparently. And Mila decides that she wants to go to Moscow to go look for her dad. And her bodyguard was like, that's not a good idea. You should not even think about that. And she was like, okay, like whatever. And then that night, Mila got on the plane and flew to Russia, to Moscow. Let me rewind back like a couple months back. A couple months back, Mila went to a fortune teller. This is like literally in the back too. Mila went to a fortune teller. And when she went to that fortune teller, the fortune teller told her, Mila, you're gonna find a guy who's going to take your breath away. And she was like, okay, like you probably tell this to every other person who came here, but like that was only half of the story that the fortune teller told her. What the fortune teller was holding back and did not tell her was she's gonna meet a guy who's literally going to take her breath away, like as in kill her. She's gonna meet a guy who's gonna kill her, okay? That's what she meant when she said take her breath away. And anyway, she got on the plane and she flew to Moscow, right? Going back to present day. And the thing is, Mila's parents, she's never met her mother. She only grew up with her dad. She don't even know like what her mother looks like. But her mom and her dad are really, really well known in Russia. And they are known as not good people because they are involved in like human trafficking. They're like involved in a lot of illegal shit. People in Russia or like in Moscow, they do not know that Mila exists because ever since she was born, they moved to the States, and so they don't know that Mila's parents had a child, her, which is her. They don't know that she exists. But once she stepped foot in Moscow, ever since like she stepped foot in there, everybody was giving her like weird looks, dirty looks. Everybody was calling her the devil. Like she was like, oh my gosh, like why would y'all say that to me? She was like, why is everybody being so mean to me ever since I stepped foot in here, you know? And the thing is because Mila, her face looks exactly like her mother's, like exactly. And everybody hates her mother in Moscow because of, you know, the things that the mother did. And now going to Ronin, he rules Moscow. He is the mafia boss of Moscow, okay? And he hates Mila's entire family. He hates with a passion, okay? So once Mila got there, Mila went to this house that she remembered from her dad's contact list or some shit like that. And so she goes there, and then the man was like, you need to leave like right now, go back to the States. It's not safe for you to be here right now. So then she was walking in this alley, and then this guy was trying to like assault her, and while she was running, she ran into this restaurant and someone catched her, which was Ronan. And then Ronan started being really, really nice to her, and but obviously he has a plan. And yeah, it's a really, really good book, so definitely check it out as well. Check out all three books, it's so good. I recommend you read all three, and I recommend you read them in order, okay? So first book, The Swedish Oblivion. Second book, The Maddest Obsession. And the third book is The Darkest Temptation. And these are the Maid series by Danielle Laurie. Alright, so the next book I'm going to recommend is called Sweet Temptation by Cora Riley. I own every book from her. Like, what is it? The Kimura Chronicles, the Born in Blood, Mafia series. Yeah, I own all of them. I just haven't gotten a chance to read them yet. This is like the first book that I read from her. My plan is to read those other series during my winter break because I want to read them, you know, like in order. I know I don't have to, but I just want to read them in order. So I'm just waiting for my winter break so I can read those. It is about Julia and Casio. Julia is 17, she's almost 18, and Casio is, I believe he's 29, around there. He's 29, I think. And yeah, so it is an age gap, but I love age gaps. But don't get me wrong, nothing happens until she's 18, okay? Yeah, so they're both of age. Casio is an underboss, so he is like a mafia boss, but he's not like the boss, he's like the underboss. Julia's cousin, Luca, who I believe is like the main character from Bound by Honor. So yeah, Julia is Luca's cousin, and Luca is like the boss, you know, of, I don't know the clans, but yeah. So Casio, his wife passed away, and he is left with 2 kids. Everybody thinks that Casio killed his wife because it looked like she was murdered. you know, like the way she died, and when people came to see it, it's like she was murdered. And so everybody thinks that Casio killed her. Now Casio is forced to remarry because in the mafia world, if you don't have a wife, you look weak apparently, and so he has to remarry. There's a lot of people who want to marry him, okay? Julia's father, he wants to go like higher up in rank, and so he decides that Julia should marry Casio. Casio, at first, when he heard her age, he was like, I need a person who's gonna help me take care of my two kids, not for me to take care of another child, you know? So nothing happens. They don't get married until she's like 18. So one day, Casio decides, they've never seen each other, okay? So Casio decides to go to Julia's house to go meet with her dad, and Julia sees him walking in, and then she was like, oh, like he's actually like not bad looking, you know, like he's actually handsome. So they walked off to go talk in like his office or whatever, and then Julia went to the library room, which is like next door to her dad's office, so she can like listen to what they're saying. And then the father told Casio and his bodyguard, like, oh, go rest in the library, like, and when it's dinner time, like, we'll come and call you, you know? And she was like, oh shit, but then she can't hide anymore, so she just hid in the library. And when Casio walked into the library, he saw like younger pictures of Julia when she was like a kid, and then he goes, hell no. He was like, hell no. She looks like a kid. How am I supposed to marry her? Like, she looks like a kid. But Julia is actually really, really pretty. So he was like, they were talking about her younger picture or whatever, and then she was like, she was getting kind of angry. So then I don't know what sound she made, but Casio heard it, and then Casio like pulled out his gun and then started walking towards where she was because he like heard a noise there. And so he saw Julia, and then Julia was like, I'm just gonna leave. And then yeah, that's like their first encounter, and they don't get married until like the day after she turned 18. And he's really, really protective of Julia. And another thing is, he is really, really possessive, and like he's like the jealous type of husband. Basically the whole story is like you're trying to find out like what the fuck happened with the wife. So definitely check out Sweet Temptation by Cora Riley as well. So the final book I'm going to recommend is called Lord of London Town by Tilly Cole. This book takes place in London, obviously, and it is about Arthur and Cheska. Arthur and Cheska first met when they were, I believe, 13, yeah. They met when they were, you know, kids. They met when Arthur and his dad went to Cheska's house because Cheska's dad owes Arthur's dad like money or something, and then they like talked about it, and it was like it didn't end bad or anything. And that was when Arthur and Cheska first meet, and they like had an instant connection right there. So 5 years later they meet again, and right now they're like 18, and they were having this yacht party where Arthur, he has his own like yacht, and he was with his friends, and then Cheska was also with her friends on their own yacht. And they like both came out of like the yacht, and they saw each other, and they like made eye contact, and they just like remembered each other instantly. He loves Cheska, but he cannot be in a relationship because if he's in a relationship, it's going to make him like forget about his duties and not pay attention to the duties that he have. and so he wants to focus on his mafia business. He was like very, very cold towards Cheska, but he loves her. Cheska is engaged to this other very, very wealthy man, and of course Arthur is like jealous. But Cheska is, yeah, engaged to this very wealthy man. She does not love this man, but her father is like forcing her to be with this man. Now 5 years later, 13, 18, and then 5 years later, okay? Now 5 years later, they're adults now. Something happened to Cheska. Her father was murdered, and people are coming for her. People are trying to murder her, and so she goes to Arthur and she asks Arthur for help. She was like, someone's trying to kill me and they murdered my father. And Arthur is obviously like pissed as fuck that someone is trying to hurt Cheska. Like, even though he is keeping like his distance from her, like he loves her, okay? He is trying to find out who these people are that's trying to hurt her, and yeah, the story goes from there. It's a really good book, and you guys should definitely check this book out as well. Alright everyone, so those are all the books that I have to recommend for now. I will be doing a lot more mafia romances because I feel like 70% of the books that I own are mafia. I just haven't gotten a chance to read them yet. So yeah, I will try my best to like post more often, but I'm just like really, really busy with school, and so I haven't had time to, you know, like read. And unless you want me to do like a study with me type of video, because I do that every day, every night, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe so that you know when I post again. So yeah, thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you guys later. Bye.